All right, so the first one we're gonna be breaking down is Xian'gu. She is the only female in the Eight Immortals. So that's a really cool fact. She's seen as like a morally pure a personage of it, and also as a selfless seeker of spiritual freedom, which is it's a common theme within all of them. But it's really interesting because she's often pictured with a lotus flower, or one of the Queen of the West's peach of immortality, which is really cool. And if you look at the picture right now we have, if you're listening, you can check out the video, but I'll just describe it. It has her flying on a crane, which is another very common theme you see in the Xian'gu novels. And it has her, of course, covering her mouth, wearing the hair with ribbons in it. So it's a pretty idealistic painting of Xian'gu. So if you want to check that out, you can watch the video, but we're going to have a picture of each of these if you want to check them out, and I'll kind of describe them a little bit for you. The legends are kind of cool with her. She was a poor peasant that was visited by an immortal in her dreams. And basically the immortal said to go to this mountain and eat this powdered rock, and it'll make her lighter than air, which is kind of interesting because you can see in some novels they mirror this in terms of like a dream or an immortal coming down and telling them to eat something special that'll make them special. She vowed to remain a virgin to be worthy of immortality. That's another huge theme with most female characters. You'll see a lot of sects in Xian'gu or Wuxia where they try to get more powerful by maintaining their primal yin energy, which is basically staying a virgin. A fun fact about these novels is because of, you know, the different laws in China, you have to be very vague with how you describe sex. So that's why you see a lot of novels using lots of descriptive words without actually mentioning like sex or penetration or anything like that. So like this is another one where you'll see the peach is kind of a symbol of morality and virginity with regards to immortality. Also with the whole theme of, you know, some of the cultivators wanting to stay virgins to use different techniques that require them to be. You see that a lot in these novels. So there's a cool story about her that's basically she grew up as a servant to her mistress, and she went out to buy food and found a group of beggars begging on the street who were begging for something and for food. So she decided, at risk of getting beaten, she gave them some of the noodles that she had bought for her mistress. When she goes back to the mistress knows that there's food missing. She's like, where is it? The girl tells her that she gave it to some beggars, but because the mistress doesn't believe her, she tells her to go find the beggars she gave the food to. So after searching for them and finding them, they bring them back to the mistress. And the mistress starts yelling at them, beating them up, makes the beggars throw up the noodles, and then forces Xian'gu to eat the noodles that they had just thrown up. And as she's about to eat it, she just starts floating off into immortality. And what it turns out is that the 8 beggars that she gave, or the 7 beggars that she gave the food to, were actually the other 7 immortals in disguise giving her a test. So it's kind of a fun tale of, you know, giving to the downtrodden, and like always having an open heart for the people who are less fortunate than you, and kind of the reward of like the eternal immortality and having the chance to become immortal through these acts of kindness. So I thought that was a really cool story. There's a fun fact about her is that even though she is the only female of the 8 immortals, you still don't really see her worshipped without being in tandem with others of the 8. And that's a pretty common theme with all of them, is usually it's not like one person, you know, praying or worshiping to one of the immortals. It's usually multiple in tandem. In terms of the Xian'gu nod, this is kind of like how authors write their characters to randomly intersect with the mundane world to take on apprentices or just play pranks. You know, the hidden expert kind of themes. Also, she carries the same visual, I think I talked about this already, but she carries the same visual representation that authors like to give their female characters, whether they're carrying lotuses, being described as a lotus, or riding a lotus. So that's a really cool thing. So that's kind of like the Spark Notes version of Xian'gu.